Welcome everybody, Shredders Unite, our Thursday night business call. We are literally in the hopefully last days of summer. I know we had an amazing call last night with Sean, and actually Tuesday's night's call with Ina and Glenn, Dr. Glenn and Ina Nozak was phenomenal. And I just wanted to follow up from those two calls, but also what we started to touch on last week. And I'll apologize in that my wife pointed out to me like, holy cow, you just covered a lot in a very short period of time. And I hope I did not overwhelm anyone. Probably did. Sometimes I get off on a loop like that. And it's kind of like the Peter Greenlaw syndrome, man. I just kind of overdid it. That said, my goal on last Thursday, and this is our Shredders Unite Biz call. My name's Bob Sivrite. I'm one of the ambassadors of our wonderful ER Shred community. And what we're all about is paying it forward and showing how you can best share with others and literally introduce them to our amazing community. In the process, get your products paid for and then much more. I really wanted to kind of touch on both sides, and that is there will be some people in our audience who will be motivated by money. So years ago, Peter had asked me to do a presentation where I used Jimmy Smith's concept of power of two, but I basically compared it as an investment. So I kind of gave you a little teaser and said, I'm going to show you how to make 10 times on your investment in your business, which is very easy to do if you have concrete goals and you take action. I will save that for a little bit later, but I really wanted to start off with what Sean's amazing. He came up, our fearless leader, Sean Escobar. He started the meeting last night sharing what his views were, his thoughts on the culture. What is ER Shred? Who are we? What are we looking to achieve? And interestingly, and I know that my wife would say there are no coincidences, but I do believe that you are reading, you are becoming aware of the right things in the right time, in the right moment. And if you keep your eyes open, there are lessons to be learned. And it doesn't matter what age you are or how much experience you may have, you will always pick up on some new things. And luckily, I decided, I try to barbell it, and that is I will read a book on motivation that inspires me, the Navy SEALs. You know, what does it make their mind tick? I mean, what do they have to do to really get, the grit to get through, not just obviously what they did, but more importantly, the training and so forth that they had to encounter. I like to take that and offset it, and I will read a lot of personal development books. I like the books that are from Dr. Wayne Dyer more on the spiritual side, to obviously anything from Tony Robbins, John Maxwell, Bob Proctor, you name it. I truly have become, I've made it a habit. I love personal development, and it was my awareness in 2004 when I first came to this program. I had an amazing result. Peter Greenlaw, my personal coach and who's the person who signed me up in this, asked me to attend a Brian Clemmer Associates event in 2006. That's how I met Dr. Glenn and Ina Nozak and many others. The awareness from that event, and I went on to complete that program, is simply this. It doesn't matter what you have done in the past. You sitting here today, you're a different person than you were 5 or 10 or 15 years ago. So it's not like, oh, I've read that and you just leave it alone. It's when they're classic books, Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, if it's any of the Dr. Dyer books, if it's any of the John Maxwell books, Bob Proctor, whoever you can resonate with. So these are life lessons that as a 59-year-old, reading it today means a lot more, or it's different than it did to me at 55 or at 50. And I want to leave you with that. The other thing is what in our business site, what our true goal is we want to elevate you. We want to enable you. We want to empower you so that you can take your story, give you some tools, and allow you to be successful in this opportunity, no matter what your level of success is. And there's two ways of looking at it. I mean, it's not about me or Sean or Jesse or any of the other people getting up here and telling you what you're supposed to be doing and how you're supposed to do it. It's really up for you to take the information in, internalize it, listen to your heart, be intuitive with your mind and say, what's in alignment with my beliefs? How can I show up? And how is it best for me to share? And you have to come to that conclusion yourself. I mean, we've got Mr. Motivation, Aaron Hairston, who can get you excited and jacked up. He'll come to it from the football, from the athletic side. That works. But again, it's short term. I mean, it's not necessarily you're excited and you're energized and let's go, John Belushi, Animal House, let's do it, right? We can all get there. We can do peak performance. We can go to a Tony Robbins event and literally get out of our mind jacked and excited, and we can take on the world. But we can't stay at that heightened state forever. So it requires something much more than that. One day, maybe I'll share my story, but in full, but we all have life obstacles. Sometimes people look at individuals and they think that, wow, they have it easy, or they have it all, or they're living the dream life. In this world of the internet and with influencers, we're inundated with that nonsense, in my opinion. I think it's nonsense only because I don't know how much of it's real. You don't know what their backstory is. You don't know what their challenges are. And I think it sends the wrong message to our children. That's me. I think it sets a standard that's so crazy that isn't realistic. That said, it still gets people excited, and that's who they want to become, or that's what they idolize. Money gets you some. I mean, with money, you can do things, but money doesn't buy happiness. And my short story is that I, at least, and what my wife has pointed this out to me, it's better to have had than never to experience it, in one respect. I had a point in my life, in my old corporate career, where I thought I was financially set for life. Based on numbers, I was. That said, I didn't have the right money mindset, meaning that I didn't appreciate what I had, and I wasn't utilizing that gift in a proper way. I think I was pretty self-centered individual. People will say that's not true, but I personally think I was there. I also feel that I was driven more on the materialistic side in terms of what my identity was, is what I owned, what houses, what I drove, where did I work, what is my title, what's my social status, and it was like keeping up with the Joneses. The sad thing in that is that you never win because there's always somebody out there that has more than you do. So you never feel like you have it all. But it's pretty sad when you're standing in the shower at 42 years old and you have the world in your palm of your hand, so to speak, in terms of what other people would consider success, and you're watching your hair fall out. Well, that was me. Now, you could say that was stress. You could say I was unhappy, but I was torn apart. And I'm going to share with you from the heart the thing that ER Shred is all about. I got to stop, and I'm going to give some credit to Sean, because Sean doesn't talk a lot about where he gets his stuff. Now, maybe he's one of those lucky few that he's got a special person up there that is, as they're coming in, maybe Sean's lucky that all this stuff is downloaded in his sleep, and he becomes wise beyond years, and he says, he espouses these things, and he says these things, and you're like, I didn't know he read that book, or where did he get that from, or who is his mentor? Bottom line is the genius behind ER Shred. There's so much careful thought and purpose behind it. And this is going to be the key, in my opinion, to your success. Yes, I'll show you the money, because I think it's important to know what the tracks are and how you're going to get there. For some people, short term, they're like, wow, I need that. I think the biggest part of this is our culture. And what Sean recognized, what is the single most important thing from a value standpoint, is significance. Now, Tony Robbins talks about significance, and he rates it like number 5 or 6 in terms of the hierarchy of things that people need in their world. What I really love is I'm reading a book by John Maxwell called Living Intentionally, John Maxwell. Here's my single best recommendation to you all. You can get the Kindle book I just did for $11. You can get the hardcover, I think it's like $15. The paperback is about the same. The reason why I wanted to mention it is that the lessons in this book completely match up with our industry, but more importantly, you're going to have the aha experience of how it relates to ER Shred. And this is the key. If you can be a good communicator, if you have the ability to share with authenticity, which we talk about, just share from your heart, share your story, that's you. We know that you can't help but to be authentic if you're sharing your story. But if you can understand the heart of ER Shred and what we're doing, this is how you're going to become successful beyond means. And significance. I mean, what is significance? Significance is where you are joining a cause that's higher than anything that you could be involved in by yourself. In other words, it's not about me. It's not about the weight loss. It's not about the health as much as it is, how can I impact the world and make a difference? We will do more for others than we will do for ourselves. People that are looking for significance, these are the diamonds in the rough. These are the people that are currently in ER Shred, like a Mimi, like a Jesse, like a Sean, like a Heidi. The women who just started sharing last night, they've only just started. My God, and they came and poured out from the heart what this has meant to them. They're starting to see it. Coleman, buddy, I know you're not on the, I don't know if you're on this call tonight, but Sean reposted what you stated about the awareness that you had. That is so spot on and so perfectly timed because you came to that conclusion on your own. But what you caught was, you caught the essence of ER Shred, and that is for you to be able to live the best you. Don't accept less than, don't accept okay, but what is the best you? From the bottom of my heart, obviously I owe a lot to the Escobars because here I'm talking with Sean about the plans. How are we going to reignite the John Anderson legacy? How are we going to get this thing going again with a simple system? Maybe it's the 9-day, but that will make a profound change. How can we change the messaging that will be attracting people? Little did I know he had the functional diet that he went through, and he comes up with all red meat. He scared the bejesus out of me. I mean, I'm sincere. My wife literally had to say, Bob, we're going to do the ER Shred. And I'm like, what? I'm like, Allison's telling me we're going to do the ER Shred. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, I know in your heart you want to do this, but you're torn apart. I read 3 books, my God, in 3 weeks, literally. I posted them. I got those books from a documentary that Sean shared with me. The easiest thing is please watch the documentary Fat Fiction. Gives a great summary. You can get that done in an hour and a half. You don't have to read the 3 books. But that's what I had to do for myself in order to feel comfortable that I wasn't going to, I'm not going to blow myself up. I'm not going to kill myself. I was worried. That said, at the end, I did go to Randy and Tony Escobar and ask their opinion. Really, what do you think? Because I just needed not a book telling me what to do. I didn't need the science to tell me what to do. I wanted to hear it from a trusted friend, what they really thought. And I think the most profound thing that Tony said to me that day is, Bob, this is different than anything I've been taught in 40 years. That said, I cannot deny what it did for my boy, Sean. He's come alive. He said he's a changed person. He's gone from being depressed to being creative, optimistic, and excited. I can't put my head around it, but I can tell you I did the 11-day and I noticed a big change, a bigger difference than I did the first go around. Frankly, I didn't know I could feel this good. So for me, I told you guys, I thought I was an 8 out of 10 in terms of how good I felt. I thought I was in pretty good shape. I was 210, averaging 210, sometimes 215, do a cleanse, get down to 208. I started the ER Shred at 208 pounds. For the first time in my life, I went from 208 to 195. I mean, I blew through 200. I couldn't get near that number. But that said, my mind woke up. My personality changed. I stopped watching the news. I started feeding my brain with nothing but positivity as much as I could. Why? Because I felt good. I caught the magic. I don't feel like I'm an 8 out of a 10. I feel like I'm a 20 out of 10 because honestly, I had no idea I could feel this good. As my good friend Peter says, something crazy like this. You don't know how good you can feel until you understood how bad you felt. And that's a true statement. Many of us accept a less than life because we think that's normal. We think that's okay. How many people do we know in our life that would potentially come alive and they would love ER Shred? And it doesn't matter if you're an elite athlete like Jesse, or if you're a person who's just looking to get more active again and you've been immobile. If you're not moved by the calls on Wednesday night or what happened, I mean, these are the calls you want to invite your friends to. You get them to hear these testimonials. This will move people. Again, getting back to it. What is ER Shred? Sean, Crystal, and their genius, and this obviously comes down from mom and dad, is that he realized that significance behind a cause was the thing we had to create with ER Shred in order to create this culture. One thing he told me, and I'll never forget, he said, Bob, I don't want to deal with the money, and I don't think I'm the right person for the nutrition side. I have Jesse for that. He's credentialed, and he's going to be really good at this. I want you to talk about the money, but let me build the culture. This is what I'm good at. And I'm telling you, he's such a darn gift to all of us because he understands significance. So in this book, it's John Maxwell, Living Intentionally. Later on in the chapters, you're going to literally find, I'm going to lose my place here. You're going to find later on in the chapters where he talks about building community. And I want you to get the book because this is the essence of ER Shred. And when you're listening to it on Audible, or if you're reading the book, however you'd like to take this, I like to listen to it. If I really like it, I buy the book and then I reread it again because I absorb it a little bit differently. It really gets into my DNA. John Maxwell said, if you have the heart to make a difference, there's always an answer. But if you have a heart of indifference, there's never an answer. So think about that. If you're motivated by just money alone, that could be for your family, could be just your individual self, but it's kind of limited in that it's not for the broader community. That's more or less living from a life of indifference. But if we turn around and we think about how we can impact this world in a positive way, we can change individuals' mindsets from being negative or focusing on what they do not have to the abundant mindset. We can have a significant impact on this world. We're going to blow this community up. I know that for a fact. Look at the people who've come in just in the last 10 months. It is unbelievable to me. I've not seen this in 17 years. I'm by far not the biggest builder in Isagenix. I've been successful with it. I know that I did a lot of things wrong in the first 10 years, doing it my way, not being coachable, not listening to the people who came before me. That's my fault, but that was part of my journey and I had to learn my lessons. My hope in talking to you tonight and talking about significance is for you really to search your heart, really begin to understand what makes you tick, what will get you to cry at night, thinking about the impact you can make on others. Sorry, I didn't think I'd get choked up, but from Mimi, her change to the women last night that have only been on this for 11 days, 14 days, to hear their stories, you can't buy that kind of marketing. You can't. Well, we're making such a positive impact on others that this is the cause. This is what Sean dreamed of. This is what Jesse's talking about. And unfortunately, I get stuck with the money. I love to talk about it because I was a money manager. I like numbers, but money, it's a tangible. It just is. There's no emotion to it. But most people think of money and they think what they can buy with it, not how they can change the world. People who make a difference, Mother Teresa, Mahatma Gandhi, the people who had no money, but they had a life of significance. They had a purpose. They had a vision. Martin Luther King. These are the people we look at as they made a difference. The great prophets, people who are Christian, people who walked this earth, Jesus. Here's a crazy one. Jesus is cited both in the Muslim religion, obviously the Christian religion, but also the Jewish religion. The guy had that much of an impact. I don't want to talk religion, but I want to mention when you look at the greats in our world, it isn't necessarily the home run king. Yeah, they're great. But the people who are looked at as legends are the ones who made a difference. So getting back, ER Shred. We are a community of like-minded individuals that aspire to do more, to live our best life. But more importantly, we want to share it with others, and we want to develop a community of support such that we know that we can elevate each other to be the best people we can be. Interestingly, this is the only group in Isagenix that I know of or have ever heard of, or in any other company, where we have people who truly care about everybody in the community, and they're not even financially connected. I mean, that's crazy, right? Not at all. Why? Because the people who we attracted, if they don't get it, they'll understand it when they're reading the book. They are aspiring to live a life of significance. They want to make a change. So that's the heart of ER Shred. Now, what do I need to do, and how am I going to become successful? Last week, I talked to you about some of the how-tos. Make your list. Think about how you like to communicate. Is it belly to belly, person to person? Is it text? Do you want to do social media? My wife's wonderful at social media. I'm terrible at it. I mean, if it wasn't for her, I never would have gotten on Facebook. I couldn't even get on a live. I mean, people look at me today. I'm being honest. I mean, Mimi does these like no problem, right? Mimi, when you started, it was probably a little rough, but now it's like you almost miss it if you don't get your live in, right? I would imagine. But my point is,
I deleted so many. I did. I deleted.
But they're all good. But the point is we're all bad until we start getting better. You got to start somewhere. You know, Tiger Woods didn't become Tiger Woods because he just picked the golf ball up and decided he's going to, some clubs, and he's going to be a professional, right? They talk about digging in the dirt and spending hours upon hours upon hours. I know that in terms of being considered an expert, I don't know who came up with this. I don't know if it's John Maxwell, Bob Proctor, whatever, but the word number is you're supposed to spend 10,000 hours at what you're doing in order to become an expert in that activity, be it speaking, or maybe it's being a stockbroker or whatever, but 10,000 hours. When I looked at myself as it relates to network marketing, yeah, it took me about 10,000 hours before I figured it out, to be honest with you. And where I started seeing the success that I go, okay, this could be legitimate for me and I can do this full time. Same thing in the financial industry for me, but it's also just about anything in life. I've never gotten anything that's been handed to me for free that I cherished, that I respected, and I actually took care of it. If I had to, through hard work and sweat, buy my first car, whatever it might be, I went outside of my ability to make sure I took care of that. If it was given to me, probably not so much. So again, what do we need to do to be successful? First and foremost, you're going to go to ershred.biz and you're going to listen to those wonderful people who literally gave you the tracks to run on. From Tara, who I know will be back with us soon. She's had a lot of life issues that she's had to contend with. She did it beautifully, outlining it. Heather's put together all the files. We have the message. What is our belief system? We have the tracks in terms of it's as easy as you sharing with two people and teaching them to do the same. That's it. And then just go on repeat. But I'm going to do this as a business. What do I have to do to be successful? Well, make your list. I mean, there's no way to get around that. You got to think about who are you going to communicate with? Who are you going to share this opportunity for? I shared last week, go with the biggest person you're terrified with first, the hairiest person on there, like, oh my God, I can't possibly call him. I'm terrified, or her, to give her a call. She's an influencer. She has 1 million people following her on Instagram or whatever it might be. My suggestion, call them up, talk from the heart, be honest, say I'm brand new at this, but I thought of you because of the impact that you can make in this world. I want to tell you about ER Shred and what we're about. Get them to sign up in your dream of significance. I have a dream. Martin Luther, Gandhi, Mother Teresa, go through it. They all had a vision. They had a dream, and they just continued each and every day living that. We have a vision with ER Shred. People that have a lot of money sometimes lacks significance. Me, 1998, 1999, when my hair was falling out, when I wasn't happy, but I was literally at the peak of my career, 2000. It wasn't until I found Isagenix, or fulfillment company, and it wasn't until I had to do some real soul searching because I lost everything. I lost my identity. That's a hard one. I no longer was my title. I lost my family in my view. I lost my homes. I lost my career. Well, who am I? Right? 42 years old, I never gave that a second thought. I just was successful at everything I touched. First time in my life that I had hit a wall, and I think, dear Lord, please use my God-given talents so that I can make a difference in my community and in the process support myself and my little daughter. That was my prayer for 2 solid years on my knees. And here's how silly I am. My blinders were on. I was not open. I was not looking for that door. And I had been on the Isagenix products for 2 years, and I was still saying that prayer. Dear Lord, please give me an opportunity. I would go to an Isagenix event and I would hear Randy and Tony. Tony would he would cry, and I'm thinking, wow. And he would talk about significance. He would talk about the fact that we're making a difference and that this was divinely inspired, and it still didn't connect with me. So I understand that when people don't get it right away, but let's give them the permission, give them a little bit of room so that they can kind of be a Coleman, as an example. 7 months in, he gave you a holy cow. Here's what I really, truly realized. And he talked about how it was a slippery slope and how he started to, not using the word cheat, he was giving himself too many treats along the way, but that wasn't serving him. And it began to change his mood. It began to affect his outlook, and he didn't like it. And he got back into doing a strict ER shred, and it set him right. And what's really cool about Coleman is that he has the heart to share it with others. Some people don't ever want to say, hey, I failed. It's embarrassing to fail. I've been there. But so many people have such a kind heart in our group that are willing to put themselves out there and to be raw, to be authentic. And as a result, they can be heartfelt. They can connect. We were on pins and needles listening to those stories last night. It didn't matter what they were saying. It was like, my God, I just wanted to know. You've got to be kidding me. What's the outcome? I am excited about the opportunity we have today. So here are the things that I want you to do. I want you to buy the book, humor me. If you don't like it, I'm sure you could gift it to a local library, or you can give it to somebody that will make a difference. It may become one of the books that you look at as a keeper and you want to add it to your library. One day I'll show you. I mean, I've given a lot of books away, but I have my favorite books, and I look at them like gold. I'm a hoarder in that respect. I can't give any of those away because they meant so much to me at one point in time when I read them, and I will go back and revisit them. This book, talking about significance, is spot on, and I know that it will connect with you. So we make our list. I asked you to think about your ideal person that you want to be in business with. We don't want to throw, excuse my language, just shit at the wall and see what sticks. That's not how you build a business of significance. In the book, and I'm going to actually try this. John Maxwell talks about coming up with his vision statement on a card. And when he met that person who might be 1 in 1,000 that he thought really, truly aspired to live a life of significance, he shared his card with them. Not a sales pitch, not this is what we're going to do. He shared his vision. And he just said at the end, if this resonates with you, give me a call. I'd like to chat. Something like that. Because what he found early on in his career is that he could motivate and inspire just about anybody, but he was bringing the wrong people to the party. So if we want to change the world, we need like-minded people. I wish, and I'm sure we all dream of that, why can't this whole ER Shred community be our one team? We'd be blowing up the world right now. I mean, the beauty is we're only 24,000 people, or 22, I don't know where we're at, 23,000. We're just barely scratching the surface of what's possible. But write out the characteristics of the ideal person that you want to work with. Are they energized, excitement? Maybe they're a good speaker. Maybe write out the characteristics, what you're looking for. Just like when you see a good car on the road and say, oh, I'd really love to have that car. Then you pull it up on the internet and you look at it. And I'm not talking about Siri and Google and everyone else bombarding you once they realize you're looking at a Jeep Wrangler. But what does happen is that when you're on the road on the highway, that car that you love that you had never seen before, that new model, all of a sudden, it starts appearing everywhere. That's your subconscious mind working. And this is what occurs when you can connect your purpose with your belief system, your heart. What is your belief system? You have a purpose here on this earth. You also have been guided by a lot of noise. Monkey, they call it monkey, the monkey brain. It's your self-talk. It's that negative talk. Everybody deals with it. But the only way you can silence it is to get really crystal clear on your vision and your purpose and why are you here? What is your why? One book is Simon Sinek's You Start With Your Why. One of the best that I've seen. That's a great book if that resonates with you. But you've got to get really clear what your why is. And it can't be something that's superficial. It can't be I want a new car, want to live in a new home, or I want to put the kids through school. Those are all good things. But that's not what is going to drive you from a belief system. That's what I'm getting at. You want to start focusing on your language. And this is a tip. And again, there's no judgment here. I see it because anytime when you get outside of your comfort zone, you start to get, you're uncomfortable. That's it. You're outside of the comfort zone. Where all of a sudden all our sabotaging beliefs come into play. And again, they're sabotaging beliefs. Aaron Harrison talked about that today, Mr. Motivation, in his call. He started to touch on it. But these are the things that keep us from success. And one of the biggest issues is the use of our own language. So start to become aware of when you use the words, and here's the words you should never say, can't, because that's complete failure. You can do anything you put your mind to. That's a fact. And you never use the word hate because it has like the lowest vibration to it. I mean, you don't hate anything. You may dislike it. Can't, hate, eliminate it entirely from your vocabulary. Now, many of you are going to say, oh, I don't say that. Of course you don't. You're a positive person. But what I do know you will say is you're going to say words like, I'll try. That has become almost as part of our society as yes or no. I'll try. Ever since we were kids, I don't know where I got that from. But what is saying I will try? What does that do to you? It immediately gives you an out that you could fail and it's okay, but I tried. I showed up. I tried. That's not how winners think. And you can't use that. There's that word can't. Please do not use that word because it's self-defeating. It's giving you the way out. Start looking at words like should have, would have, could have in terms of excuses. Start eliminating those excuses and look at to the positive of what your goals are. Maybe it's with the ER shred. I think all of us should aspire to be able to do a full 11-day strictly. Even if you can't get to the first cleanse day or the second cleanse day, understand the science behind what we're giving you. There is a real purpose, as Jesse will say, to get to autophagy. He's in the best shape of almost anybody on this team, yet he still does 2-day cleanses because he wants his good cells to eat the bad cells. He wants to support his body in detoxing the junk. He understands the term autophagy, and that's what you get with a 2-day cleanse. You don't get there. You get there almost, but you don't get there with a 1-day cleanse. Not to say it's bad, but again, aspire to do the very best, to do your system. If you can't get there initially, come back and do it again. Just do it. You will ultimately get there and you'll have the success that you want. Before I get to the money side of it, I really want to leave you with mindset. These are things you can always work on. How do I improve my mindset? I'd already mentioned one, feed yourself a lot of positive information. Try to get yourself in a peak performance. Maybe that happens to be a Tony Robbins. There's a lot of good YouTube stuff from his weekends and how he gets people pumped up. Changing your attitude if you find yourself feeling bad or if you're starting to think like, oh, woe is me, like a victim, you want to eliminate that type of thought process immediately. You want to have the mindset of, yes, life can be hard. There will be obstacles, but I know that I will do what's required to work through it. My wife made a comment to me, which finally in 59 years, I was able to say something intelligent that was wise. Oh, see, I got her attention.
What did I say?
We were talking about our cycles, and I'm being sincere. It's summertime. People go on vacation.
Oh, okay. You made it sound like I said to you, finally, you said something that was wise.
No, I
was like,
said,
what?
I said to you, finally, something that was wise, because you were having a moment.
You always say wise things.
Not always. Hold on, we're going to get reverb.
Sometimes.
One of the things, and this is personal, but we're all going through it. Cycles are down. Oh, what am I going to do for my finances? I don't know. I've got a daughter going to college in 2 years, stepdaughter. We've got bills like everybody else. You got finances to deal with, right? It's not easy to see your business decline 50% year over year. And you could say it was the pandemic. You could say it was this, that, we're in the house, whatever excuse it is. Yeah, the business is down. That's a fact. I have to deal with it. It's easy to dwell on it and become the worry person and just worry, worry, worry. That's okay too. But if you catch yourself there, do not dwell on it for very long. What I said to my wife, and after I said, I went, wow, I finally figured it out after 59 years. And that is, I let her have a pity party for about 5 minutes. And then I literally lit into her and said, you need to check your attitude. Now, for most people, they'd say that's terms for a divorce. I mean, like, are you kidding me? You just told your wife, check your attitude. But I did it to shake her up. And I said to her, you are a coach. You're one of the most amazing coaches that I have seen about mindset, beliefs. And I said, check your attitude, because you're having a pity party. You're thinking about all the negative things that could happen rather than what we could do that could be positive, right? And I asked her that all we have to do is put our two intelligent heads together. We'll figure this out. But I said, this is the thing that I said I think is wise. And I wasn't born with this. I read it somewhere. I said, I know one thing for certain, sweetie. I know that we're going through a hard time financially. I know we're going to figure it out. But here's the best news. Never in my life have I ever had any growth whatsoever when I've been uber successful. When things are going great, things are going great. I don't see a lot of growth in that. But every time in my life when I've had a significant obstacle, the ones even back in 2001 that shook me to my core, where I lost my identity, each terrifying event like that, I had the most magnificent growth and literally awareness in terms of positive change in my life. We're outside of our comfort zone, and I know this is scary, but I know this is when good positive change happens. Now, I said it a lot of words there. It was more like, what, honey, check your attitude. This is what I do know. Growth doesn't happen when people are being successful, but true growth occurs out of the ashes when the phoenix is reborn. I know that the future is going to be incredibly bright. Unfortunately, in this lifetime, we're going to have to wait a while to have hindsight to look back on it and say, that's when it occurred. That's when I had the growth. That's when I changed as a person and started to do the right things. That's all I want to say about where we're at as a company, in that everybody is woe is me, cycles are down, whatever. Get over it. But here's the opportunity. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that with 20 years of success with this amazing nutritional system, we have not put a dent in obesity in this country. They haven't even moved the needle. We also know that we're being plagued by a pandemic that we haven't seen since 1918. But we know the biggest risk factors are weight and sugar management issues, people who are diabetic, two most critical things. Both, in most cases, can be changed with our program. finally, we have an opportunity from a standpoint of significance to have such a positive impact on this world. We can bring everybody out of the gutter of negative thought and bring them into our community of ER Shred, which is nothing but positive love, empowering positive love. When we created it, we said, we're going to give you the tracks to run on. We're going to empower you. We empower you because of abundance, because this is abundant thinking. We're not coming from scarcity. We're not telling you how it has to be done and how you have to fit in to this square peg, and that this is the only way. Said last week, there's 1,000 ways to build the business. I'm almost embarrassed that I'm here in this large group talking about the money, in that my success, yeah, I can stand proud of what I achieved in the financial world, but you know, I'm just a small fish in a big pond as it relates to Isagenix. There's so many people done so much better than I have because they understood how to build teams. I'm still grateful for my success, but this last 17 years is my training period that I needed to elevate my game to become the best person that I can be. So I told you last week I would give you some of my goals. One of them has been, I've been writing this number all over the house. I don't know if you can see it, number 70. My wife's about ready to kill me because you go in the bathroom, you see 70, you open up the closet, you see 70, you see 70 in the car. She's like, what the heck is this 70? Well, I know you don't after I told you what it was, but it's two things. One, I want to get my business up to 70 cycles a week. That's a big goal, but I know it's possible because I was almost there once. But I want to build it the right way with the right people, people who are aspiring to live a life of significance. For me, that's a big change. I was doing it for just the numbers. I didn't care what your mindset was. Everybody's welcome. Come on in. We're going to do this because, and you're going to do it for the money. As Sean says, and I don't want it, money is good if it's used for the right thing. But as Sean, when he gets upset, he thinks about the negativity of what money is when it's being marketed or used in the wrong, in what we might feel is the wrong way. Money, 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 the glitz, glamour, the vacations, walk the beach, be super successful, multimillionaire, being in the jets, you know, your private jet. Probably some of the most disgusting marketing out there on Facebook, you'll see it, is the cryptocurrency MLMers. They're all over the place. I get scammed 10 a day. They all have their own private jet. They all have their own 150-foot yacht. It's just disgusting. That's what we mean when people focus on just the money. When Sean talks about what ER Shred is, he's hoping you understand significance, to aspire to do something greater than yourself. If you can do that, that elevates you as a person, the gratitude and so forth that comes with that. But that's truly greatness. That's what he thought of initially in building our community. That's what I want you to think about. Again, get back to your why, get back to your core belief in terms of what you want to achieve. But how do I share the ER Shred? It isn't my story as much as I'm going to share what our community is. ER Shred, what is it? Well, it's a community of like-minded people that that aspire to live a better life. That we have a system that literally is life-changing, that will break your carb addictions, that will eliminate all the inflammation in your body, that will allow you to be the best. And for me, I thought I was doing it the right way. But my friends, even yesterday, I went out for the first time and I interviewed at a company in the fitness industry because I want to get into a hot environment where I can meet more people. They looked at me. I used to belong to this club. They're like, oh my God, you really have changed. You look fit. I'm like, oh, what did I look like before, right? I was a little pudgy. But anyway, my point being is that I'm going to get out in the world. I'm going to share my message. I may even try the card that John Maxwell talks about, create a vision statement, and just see if I find that A+ person in my mind that I want on my team. I'm going to hand them a card and see if they like my vision, see if they like my purpose. And if they do, maybe they'll call me back. But that's who I want to lock arms with. That's who I want to get into the foxhole and go to war with. I want to find future Sean and Crystals. I want to find future Jessies. I want to find a future Warren. I want to find a future Melanie. I want people who are on this team who get it. A Coleman, My gosh, if I had someone like that on my team, I mean, that would be fun, right? We're like-minded individuals. That is my goal. So I'm going to end it really quick with just the money thing, just so that you understand that there is an opportunity here. So Jimmy Smith is our #1 income earner in the company. He has done it because he shared the business and he shared the power of two. It is quite simple. Last week, I told you of the uniqueness principle, which I use to evaluate investment opportunities. This is kind of 40,000 foot view, but I told you it had to be #1 is the management, because even with a good product, if you have a bad management team, you're going to go upside down. You have to have a unique product in itself that is not a commodity, that can't be, it literally, it can't be a commodity or easily replicated or duplicated, and it becomes a me too. We obviously have that with our fulfillment company, but we most certainly have that with the ER Shred. It's that unique blend, the 1-2 punch. We have the ER Shred. Next is, what is our demographic? Well, in this case, as you know, it's everybody. But again, for my purposes, it's not everybody that suffers from needing weight loss, more energy, et cetera. I also want to find people that need weight loss, but are ready for change, like the women last night. Doesn't matter where you are, what walk of life you are, they hit bottom and they were ready for change, and they were willing to do whatever it took. Even going to their doctor, not telling them what they're doing, but saying, I'm doing this and I want you to monitor me, and listen to those stories. That is the person I'm looking for. And then finally, it's timing. Timing and investment is everything. Well, we're coming out of this pandemic. People aren't happy. People have a poor attitude. People feel like they have been financially hit in the gut. Just about everybody, right? We're not alone. Well, we have an opportunity that if they join forces with us, we can alleviate some of those problems. We have a solution. I think this is the single best investment opportunity that I've ever seen. And this is why. In my lifetime, I have had, I think, 4 or 5 10-baggers. That means I was in an investment where I made 1,000%. I was told that that might happen 4 or 5 times in my investment lifetime if I was lucky. I'm talking about the Googles, the Apples, and maybe an Amazon, which I wasn't part of. Qualcomm up 2,800%, that's 28-fold, was my biggest winner. That said, if I ever went to a client and said, I feel pretty confident that I can make 10 times on your money, that's a 10-bagger, people line up down the street. They want to know the best tip from the stock guru, right? What do you have? What do you have? I'm all ears. Well, here's the simple part of it. Let's just say you decide to do this business and you're making a financial commitment. Part of that is you're investing in yourself by consuming these amazing nutraceuticals, the nutrition, the shakes, etc. On average, I'm going to bump it up, but I'm going to say you spend $200 a month. Let's take that over a 2-year period to make it fair, but $200 a month over 24 months is $4,800. I will again make it a little bit easier, and we'll just round it off to $5,000. So if I'm spending $200 a month over 2 years, let's just say I'm going to spend $5,000 and I'm investing in my health, but I'm also investing in my business because I'm going to be a product of the product. Now, how am I going to make a return on that? Well, you're going to find two people who want the same, right? And then we're going to teach them to do the same thing. A lot of people will share once, but then stop. But sometimes if you knew that there was a money opportunity, maybe you would stick with it for longer than 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 12 months, 24 months. My point being is that when Jimmy Smith does his power of two, is that it used to be mapped out in our back office. And now, by the way, I have disclaimers. There are financial disclaimers. This is only an illustration purpose only for education. It doesn't guarantee anything. But the reality is this, is that if you start off yourself and you make a $5,000 commitment over 2 years, $200 a month, and you convince a person on your left and the right to join you in this vision, and they do the same, and then you teach them to share it with 2 others and so on, that process repeating itself 10 times, your income and a residual income basis is $56,000. So that's a power of 2 to the 10th level. You want to know how to get to 56,000? Power of 2 to the 10th level. That's how many people that you need to have in a balanced format in terms of how our business model works. The 11th level, you're at 114,000. That's crazy. Well, you saw the woman, Julie, that Kisik that came on, and she gave you her version of it. There's different ways to skin the cat. If you want to accelerate it, do power of 3. Get 3 people sharing with 3 people, and so on and so on. You'll get there even faster, maybe 6 levels. Power of 4, you can get there even quicker. So you can play with the numbers, but the key is consistency and making a commitment. I look at the numbers like this. Years ago, when I did this presentation in 2009, our interest rates were much higher, but at that time, the 30-year and the 10-year were right around 3%. So I would ask the audience, for a risk-free return, how much money do you have to have invested to make $56,000? Well, the answer is this, is that 3% is a government bond, and it doesn't get any better than that. Unfortunately, I know a lot of us think that's a scary concept, but right now the US government, that's about as safe as it's going to get in the world from a standpoint of an interest rate. 3%, how much money would I have to have in my bank account to generate $56,000? You can do the easy math. It's just you've got to divide it. And bottom line is the number's 1.8 million, 1.86 million. I still remember that number. Now here's the scary thing. I think the 30-year bond is around, it's not even investable, but it's around 1%. The reality is this, is that it takes a lot of money for you to make a return of $56,000. And I know this, in most parts of the world, people can't live on just $56,000 a year and just say, I'm retired. That's a big dent. Why I love this industry is that if we listen to Sean, if we listen to Crystal, if we listen to Jesse, if we share it with others and we share our community, I know that we can build it bigger than 10 levels down. I know that we can impact more than just 2,000 people by just Warren, you sharing with 2 people and then having other people share it and so on. The biggest earners in our company, I can guarantee you, I know what the numbers are. They did somewhere between 90 and 100 people in their first year in this company. But those 100 people turn into something so much bigger than that. And ultimately what ends up happening is that you're flying so high and you've got so much volume, you have the ability to step back if you want. That's okay. Thank God Sean decided not to, honestly. I mean, I think it's the best gift, the best blessing that's happened to me in the last 12 months. I was asking again in a prayer, what am I going to do? I want to join forces with somebody of like mind. I want to be able to do it the right way with integrity. I want to do it with a mindset of its significance, contribution. Sean shows up, and he wasn't even in a good mood when he first started talking to me. He was in a very poor mood. We literally were in such the ditch talking about everything going wrong in the world. It was a pity party for a good hour and a half. And I'm assuming Chris was like, oh God, you talked to Bob again. You're in a foul mood. Get out of here. Go work out, do something. I mean, that's where we were at. But out of that nonsense, we started to see a vision of what's possible. And out of Sean's own health crisis, he figured it out and said, oh my God, if we just do this with this, look what just happened. So again, we have a gift, we have a vision, we have the culture. We're almost a year into this. Thank you, Sean and Crystal. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Melanie, Warren, everybody who's part of this. We're all equals, and you all are important to each and every one of us because you make up ER Shred. That's the essence. Now, how do we go out there and how do we share our vision with others? In my view, if it's a money person, you can show them the numbers, but you want to find the person with a heart that wants to make contribution, that wants to be significant, aspires to do more. And there are wealthy people, a lot of wealthy people who finally arrived at, oh my God, if it wasn't for these events, I would not be wealthy. They all of a sudden find a heart and they want to do for others. They want to give back. Not a better way in the world to give back than find someone with a lot of money that is looking for significance, but they're not sure where they're going to find that. And you show them ER Shred. They will love this. I'm telling you, they will eat this up. We find someone who needs to turn their health around. Some of the women last night, don't shy from anybody in sharing our wealth. I mean, invite everybody in and let's bless them and let's let them get on the tracks and let them be on their journey. No judgment. There isn't a race. Just as Sean has said, He was so amazing with those ladies last night in interviewing them. He complimented them in each and every way, even when they weren't able to do the program properly, but he elevated them. And that's finally, I'm just going to end with this. One of the most impactful people in my lifetime as a friend was Patrick Greenlaw. That's Peter Greenlaw's brother. I've talked to Sean about this, but he's cut out of the same cloth as Randy. And what I mean by that is very few people that I have ever met in my lifetime that's so big of a personality that when you walk into a room of 10,000 people, you feel the energy shift. More important than that is they made everybody they came in contact with, they felt better in that moment for being in his or her presence. Randy always put a good smile on my face. She always made me feel good. She always made me feel significant. Even when I wasn't, she believed in me. That's just her, that's her energy. Patrick Greenlaw had the same gift. Those are the people that you want to find as teammates, because that is the essence. That is the magic. That's what Sean and Crystal, in our best way possible, we try to share. Every now and then we get emotional. I'm emotional now because I have lived a life less than, because I have lived small. That has been, God knows why. I know I have the gifts. I know I could make a difference. I know I could be one of the top leaders in this company. But for whatever reason, in my mind, I've got some sabotaging beliefs. I haven't gotten there yet, but I promise Sean, you give me this opportunity to lead Shredders Unite, I'll get there. So what is this 70? 70 for this year is the start. I want to bring 70 people, brand new people into ER Shred. I want to get myself back up to 70 cycles. But as I evolve, I'm going to have a new goal. Just like Jesse runs the Georgia Death Race. Well, that's not enough for him anymore. So he's going to find some other crazy race to run to basically motivate him, to get him to aspire to do more from a physical standpoint. Jesse's all in. Sean said, I'm all in for 5 years. This is it. This is too good to be true. I hope through our tears, through our voices, I just pray and hope that you guys see the opportunity. That's it. And it's not the money. Go buy the book, Intentional Living, John Maxwell. It will impact your life. If that's not it, I've got about another 50 that you could read that will, I'm sure, will aspire and will move you. 8 o'clock, guys. Thank you. I had no idea what I was going to say tonight. Honestly, I did not. Allison just asked me that. I have no notes. I have nothing. Didn't even know I'd cry, but probably I had more tears tonight than I've had any time on a Facebook Live ever. And it actually feels good. I know I'm in the right place. Thank you, guys, from the bottom of my heart. Have a good night.
Thank you, Bob. Have a great night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.